I worked for a prestigious corporation as the head of my department. Pour me a drink, loser.
My top-tier classmate Andy's words reverberated throughout the reunion hall. Since we were young, Andy had consistently denigrated me and called me worthless. I anticipated that this reunion would be no different, but I was there for a cause. I said nothing, and Andy continued to hurl insults at me without realizing it. I assume that someone as worthless as you has a terrible job. I'll be the CEO in 10 years, and I might recruit you then. Andy's remarks left our classmates speechless. I had had enough and made the decision to do something about it. Andy would never again regard me with contempt. I'm 40 years old, and my name is Kyle Matthews. I lead a comfortable life now, but I had a different upbringing. When I was young, my parents were divorced. I was raised in a modest home by my mother. Our life never really improved, despite my mom working several jobs to support me. I always helped out and never asked for anything as a child in an effort to avoid bothering her. I recall being overjoyed when she complimented me on that. I was therefore older than most children my age. However, it also hindered my ability to communicate my feelings.
Even though we didn't have much money, I was content to be with my mother.
Then, when I had barely begun elementary school, something occurred. My mom made me a meal and a backpack for a field trip. As I made my way to school, my pulse was pounding with anticipation for the field trip. I heard my classmates behind me, though.
You have such a filthy backpack. Are you impoverished?
My backpack, a hand-me-down from someone at my mom's workplace, seems to catch their attention. We couldn't afford a new one, so she had done her best to find a clean one. As a result, it was in excellent shape, despite being a hand-me-down. Thus, their remarks startled and offended me.
I don't think we're poor, I said nebulously. Then they burst out laughing. You're correct. The only one with such a shoddy backpack is you.
I saw that every one of my classmates had brand new gleaming bags. I was really embarrassed. Why was this something I had to endure?
Because of the pain and humiliation, I was unable to enjoy the trip at all. When I got home, my mother said, "Did you have fun on the trip?" However, I was unable to be honest with her. My classmates then called me a poor kid. I'm sorry, Kyle. He's having a lot of financial difficulties.
Some generous people would give me used school supplies or their leftover lunch, but it simply made me feel worse. I was obviously appreciative, but it was still awkward. Some children would also make fun of me. I hated going to school. Would I ever escape this situation? I felt hopeless about the future. Soon after starting middle school, I came home one day to the sound of laughter. It was my mom and someone else. My mom juggled multiple jobs, so it was rare for her to be home. I walked in and saw a man I didn't recognize. Mom smiled and introduced him happily. This is Sean. He's going to be your new dad. I couldn't believe my ears. A new dad? What does that mean? Then this man named Sean walked up to me. He bent down to my level and looked me in the eye. Hi, Kyle. I'm Sean Yates. I'm going to be your new dad. Let's get along, okay? I was so confused by this sudden news that I just went to my room without saying anything. After that, my life changed completely. Before I knew it, we had moved into a big house and I was living with my new dad, Sean. At my new middle school, no one teased me about being poor anymore. Even though I never got used to Sean, my mom seemed happy every day. If she's happy, that's all that matters. That's what I told myself every day. Meanwhile, Sean kept trying to get me to open up. How's the new school? Made any new friends? Not really. How about we go somewhere fun this weekend? I'm busy. I was naturally shy and took a long time to open up to people. Kyle, be more polite when your dad talks to you, my mom would say. but I couldn't help it.
But Sean was patient, waiting for me to open up.
2 years later, I was in the ninth grade. Nothing had changed except for one thing. I now had a little brother named Michael. Michael looked just like Sean, small and cute. Both Sean and my mom adored him. Michael was outgoing and not shy at all. I couldn't help but feel jealous of him. He was the complete opposite of me. My mom spent all her time taking care of Michael, hardly paying attention to me. With high school entrance exams coming up, I focused on my studies to avoid thinking about it. Seeing my mom doting on Michael made me feel lonely. I had few memories of my mom from when I was little because she was always working. Compared to me, Michael seemed so lucky. That's how I started feeling. Even though it was normal for my mom to take care of Michael, he was still small. I couldn't help how I felt. I hated feeling this way about myself.
One day, while going through these emotions, Sean spoke to me. "Kyle, I heard there's a great new ice cream place nearby. Want to go check it out?" Sean was ready to go, holding the car keys in his hand. "Kyle, you love ice cream, right? You can have as much as you want."
Sean was right. I did love ice cream. I hesitated a bit, but since I had finished my studies, I thought it might be nice to go out. So I decided to go along with Sean's suggestion.
"Okay, let's go." When I said that, Sean looked really happy.
For the first time, I went out with Sean alone. In the car, Sean talked about trivial things. He was probably trying to make me feel less nervous, but I was too nervous to speak. Sean seemed to understand this and match my pace. When we arrived at the ice cream shop, I was excited. There were so many flavors I had never seen before.
While I was deciding, Sean bought them all.
"If your mom finds out we ate this much, she'll be mad. So let's keep it a secret," Sean said with a smile.
I couldn't help but smile back. As soon as we sat down, Sean started talking happily. "Kyle, it's the first time I've seen you smile. It makes me happy."
Sean's eyes started to fill with tears. I was surprised to see how hard Sean had been trying for me. Then he told me something surprising.
"When I was a kid, I was in a similar situation to you." "Huh?" I tilted my head in confusion.
Sean continued, "My mom also remarried after divorcing my dad, so I know exactly how you feel."
As I remained silent, Sean took my hand.
"I'm sorry for making you feel this way, but I really care about you. Please understand that I would do anything for you because you're also my precious son." Sean looked serious. I had always thought that only my mom and Michael were important to Sean, but hearing this made me realize he cared about me too.
"Thank you," I said, savoring the delicious ice cream. Sean watched me with a warm smile.
From that day on, I slowly started to open up to Sean. Even when my mom was busy taking care of Michael, I no longer felt anything negative. Without Sean's words at the ice cream shop, I would have remained bitter. I was grateful to Sean.
Time passed, and before I knew it, I was 40 years old.
As a kid, I sometimes wondered why time moved so slowly. But as an adult, it seemed to fly by. That's why I value every single moment now.
I have a good relationship with Sean, and we have dinner together a few times a month.
Thanks to meeting Sean, I overcame my shyness, and now I can be friendly with people I've just met. It's all because Sean patiently reached out to me. When I started working, I moved out and began living on my own. I'm still single, enjoying my independent life.
That's because I'm too busy with work to have time for a relationship.
I buy products from manufacturers and sell them to retailers nationwide. I started this job right after graduating high school, and now I've been doing it for 22 years. But new tasks keep coming every day, so I'm always learning. One day, as I was walking to a client meeting, I saw a familiar man speaking harshly to an elderly woman.
"Hey, if you can't walk fast, don't walk in front of me. Get out of the way."
I couldn't believe my ears. How could he say that to someone older?
It's natural for older people to have trouble walking. It's unbelievable he doesn't understand that. I couldn't stay silent and ran over to the elderly woman. Are you okay? She looked at me apologetically. I'm sorry I can't walk fast. Then get out of the way. You're wasting my time, the man rudely shouted again. I glared at him. That's no way to speak. You could just walk around her. The man stared at me and then widened his eyes in recognition. Wait, I know you. You're Kyle, right? I'm Andy. I realized the man insulting the elderly woman was my old classmate, Andy. I never expected to see him here, and I was stunned. Oh, yeah. Andy, it's been a while, I said. Andy laughed. You've grown up to talk back to me, but a poor guy like you shouldn't talk to me like that. It's common sense. It's annoying when someone useless like you talks back. And he started yelling angrily. He had always called me poor and looked down on me. It's been 25 years since we graduated elementary school, and now we're 40. Those aren't words an adult should say. I was too shocked to speak. It brought back memories. In elementary school, Andy teased me constantly because I didn't have a dad and was poor. Hey, I heard your dad isn't around. Hanging out with a poor kid will make me poor too. Stay away from me. I couldn't say anything back to Andy. He took advantage of that and kept making nasty remarks. Because of him, my elementary school years were the worst. But I escaped when Andy went to a private middle school. I was glad I wouldn't have to see him again. I had long forgotten about Andy, but the memories came rushing back. Let's move over there, I said to the elderly woman, trying to leave quickly. But Andy wouldn't let me go. What are you doing now? Bet someone like you doesn't have a decent job. I'm a department head at a top-tier company, Andy smirked. Ignoring him, I took the elderly woman's hand and started walking. It wasn't worth listening to Andy anymore. After walking for a while, I looked back and saw that Andy was gone. The elderly woman looked at me apologetically. Thank you so much. I'm old and can't walk well. I came to the city to see my son, and you really helped me. I'm glad I could help. Please be careful on your way to see your son, I said. The elderly woman thanked me repeatedly before leaving. I felt exhausted from running into Andy, so I grabbed an energy drink and headed to my client. Helping the elderly woman was good, but what a day it had been. I cursed my bad luck, but busy days made me forget quickly. One day, I got a call. It was from my mom. She said an invitation for an elementary school reunion had arrived. After much thought, I decided to attend. Andy would probably be there, and I didn't want to step into enemy territory. But I had a reason to go, so I made up my mind. On the day of the reunion, I walked to the venue feeling nervous. Inside, classmates were reminiscing about old times. I joined the conversation and saw his smirking face. As soon as he saw me, he started making snide remarks. How can you even show up here? If I were you, I wouldn't come. Being poor and uneducated, you must be so ashamed. Andy laughed. Our classmates looked at me uncomfortably. I have nothing to be ashamed of, so I have no reason to hide. When I said that, my classmates sided with me. Andy, that's right. And being poor wasn't Kyle's fault. Hearing that, Andy laughed even more and said something unbelievable. But you can make an effort to get out of poverty, right? You're poor because you haven't tried. Andy talked as if he understood everything about me, but he didn't know anything. It was wrong for him to make assumptions and speak like that. I stayed silent to control my anger. Then Andy said something shocking. I'm a department head at a top-tier company. Pour me a drink, loser.
He handed me a beer bottle. This was too much.
I couldn't stay silent anymore. Is your company H Trading? I asked. Yeah, that's right. It's a top-tier company. You could never join in your lifetime. When Andy said that, our classmates looked surprised. H Trading? Wow, you're an elite and a department head? That's impressive.
I aimed for a prestigious university to get into H Trading. It's only natural, Andy said, looking smug. I put the beer bottle on the table. Seeing that, Andy raised his voice.
What are you doing? Pour me a drink.
Someone useless like you must have a lousy job. In 10 years, I'll be the CEO, and I'll hire you then.
Even our classmates were stunned by Andy's words. My patience had reached its limit with Andy's outrageous remarks.
Do you know the name of your company's CEO? I asked calmly, trying to control my anger.
Andy frowned.
What do you think I am? Of course I know. It's CE8.
What's his first name? I asked, and Andy fell silent.
You don't even know the CEO's name. The CEO is Kyle. I'm not planning to resign.
The classmates started buzzing. Andy burst into laughter.
What are you talking about? You're Kyle Matthews? There's no way someone poor and useless like you could be a CEO. Stop joking.
Our classmates also started laughing.
Yeah, that's right.
No way that's true. They probably wouldn't believe anything I said, so I decided to speak up. Andy, how's the negotiation with Nile Corporation going?
How do you know about that? There's no way it won't go well. Andy looked stunned.
I took out a business card from my pocket and handed it to Andy. Andy looked incredulous. That business card proved I was a CEO of Yates Trading.
I know everything about Yates Trading. I'm the CEO after all, but it's understandable you didn't know since I became CEO just a month ago.
Really? You're the CEO? I'm not lying. It's true. The reunion hall fell silent and only my voice echoed. Andy's face turned pale.
Yes, I'm the CEO of the top-tier company Yates Trading. Let me tell you how I became the CEO, starting from my high school days.
In my senior year, I was torn between going to college or starting a job. That's when Sean spoke to me. If you're unsure about your future, why not visit my company? Taking Sean's advice, I decided to visit his company. I was stunned when I saw Sean working vigorously as the CEO. That company was Yates Trading. I never knew Sean was the CEO of such a prestigious company.
Sean never talked much about his work. He probably thought his job didn't matter in being a good family for my mom and me.
As I watched Sean handle a massive pile of documents, he looked so cool. At that moment, I decided to work instead of going to college. I mustered the courage to tell Sean my feelings. I want to work hard like you, Sean. I want to work at your company. I don't know if I can do it, but I want to try my best. Sean listened quietly, nodding. I want to be like you. Do you think I can? I asked nervously. Sean smiled, sharing his surprising past. I was a weak child, too. I blamed everyone else for my lack of ability. Remember I told you I had a similar background to yours? Sean spoke with a distant look in his eyes.
But like you, I decided I couldn't continue like that and started this company. I was your age then. I've worked hard ever since.
If I could do it, you can do it too. You're my son. Sean's kind words brought tears to my eyes.
I won't run away anymore. Now I have a goal thanks to you. I'll do my best. If you have such strong will, go for it, Sean said, and allowed me to join Yates Trading.
Before I joined, Sean gave me a fine suit and said,
I won't go easy on you just because you're my son. I'll be as tough as I am on any other employee, so be prepared. Hearing those words, I felt a renewed sense of determination.
Of course. I'm serious.
That's the spirit. Someday you might even surpass me, Kyle, Sean said with a laugh.
That's when my professional life began. I decided to keep my relationship with Sean, the CEO, a secret from my colleagues. So I used my mom's maiden name, Matthews.
I was the only one with just a high school diploma. Everyone else had prestigious degrees.
But no one looked down on me, and I enjoyed my work. In my 7th year at the company, Sean called me to his office.
I want you to transfer to one of our subsidiaries. Transfer? I've been working so hard every day. That's unfair. I protested.
But Sean looked at me seriously. I want you to take over this company someday.
To do that, you need to learn about our other subsidiaries. That's the purpose of the transfer.
I was shocked by Sean's words.
Me? The next CEO? I'm not CEO material. Besides, you have your biological son, Michael.
When I said that, Sean took my hand. You're the eldest son, Kyle. I want you to take over this company.
No one cares about this company as much as you do. I'd feel secure with you in charge.
Sean acknowledged me as his son. I was overjoyed. I wanted to live as Sean's son forever. If you're okay with it, I'll do my best to meet your expectations. I agreed to the transfer.
Later, I heard through the grapevine that Andy, who teased me in elementary school, had joined Yates Trading. Since I was on transfer, I didn't think much of it. I worked at various subsidiaries, learning all about Yates Trading. Then, just after I turned 40, she appointed me as CEO. You worked hard. I'm 70 now, and it's time for me to retire and spend the rest of my life with your mom. I recommended you as the next CEO at the shareholders meeting. It was approved, so starting next month, you'll be CEO. With those words, I officially became CEO. I took on the Yates surname when I became CEO. Thanks to working at the subsidiaries, I smoothly transitioned to the role. This was all because she had me transfer. It's only been 2 months since I became CEO, but I'm the legitimate CEO of Yates Trading. I want to protect this company that Sean has built. Andy Fu, who hasn't put in any effort, could never become CEO. That's why I attended this reunion, to say something decisive.
I took a deep breath and spoke.
I didn't want to attend this reunion with someone as rude and snide as you, Andy, but I have something to tell you.
Andy looked at me nervously. What is it?
As of today, you're demoted to a non-managerial employee. I came here to tell you that.
What? Why? What did I do? There's no way I can accept that. Andy turned pale and stepped toward me.
Your behavior is not suitable for our company. Now that I'm the CEO, I won't let you do whatever you want anymore. When I said that, Andy swallowed hard. Our classmates turned their backs, not wanting to get involved. Andy finally started to lash out. Do you know how hard I worked to become a department head? Thanks to me, this company has grown so much. I will never be demoted to a non-managerial employee.
Just then, a loud voice interrupted him from behind. I don't think Yates Trading grew because of you, Andy.
Andy glared at the person who spoke, then looked shocked. What? Do you have something to say? Aren't you the CEO of Nile Corporation, Bob? Bob, what are you doing here?
The man with the loud voice was indeed Bob, the CEO of Nile Corporation.
I came to this restaurant to enjoy some time with my mother, but your rude behavior caught my eye. I thought we could have a good business relationship, but I see I was wrong.
Bob sighed deeply and walked over to me.
Kyle, please ensure this man Andy has no dealings with my company. I want someone kind and straightforward like you to handle our transactions. But Bob, I've been handling Nile Corporation for a long time. I've been dedicated to your company.
That's a lie. My mother told me not to deal with people as nasty as you. Does that ring a bell?
Bob brought his mother, who was sitting at a table, over to Andy. Andy looked shocked as he recognized her.
You're that lady. Bob's mother walked straight to me and stopped in front of me.
Thank you so much for helping me back then. I had no idea you were the CEO of my son's business partner. I really appreciate all your kind support with my son. Bob's mother deeply thanked me. She was the elderly woman I had helped when Andy harassed her. What a coincidence.
Andy was speechless. You were so rude to me when I couldn't walk well, weren't you? I'm so sorry. If I had known you were Bob's mother, I would never have done that. Bob and his mother exchanged looks.
So you treat elderly people like that, I see. You're self-centered unless it's someone important to you. You should learn from Kyle and be kind to people. Otherwise, you'll remain a low-level employee forever. Bob glared at Andy. Andy looked down, completely at a loss.
So, Andy, from today, you're demoted to a non-managerial employee. You need to start over and learn again. No way.
Andy Fu, who had been so arrogant before, now stood there crying pathetically. Our classmates watched him with pity. The reunion ended without further incident, and Andy was nowhere to be seen. The next day, Andy was officially demoted to a non-managerial employee, just as I had said. Andy, with his high pride, couldn't accept that I was the CEO and immediately submitted his resignation. He tried to get a job at a famous company, but due to his age, he hasn't been successful. Because of this, he got divorced from his wife and is now separated from his children. This is likely the result of Andy's self-centered and arrogant behavior over the years. On the other hand, I'm busy every day as the CEO of Yates Trading. The board members and employees are supporting me, the new CEO, and every day is a learning experience. I owe my current position to the people who have supported me. From now on, I want to become a respectable CEO and give back to those people, even just a little bit. We are the executive sons. We are unbeatable. We'll all quit if you don't like us arriving late. Watching Trey talk boldly in front of me made me sigh. Although I kind of expected it, I never imagined that he would say it aloud. I'm amazed by his great self-esteem, but I'm not sure where that confidence comes from. I know how you all feel. This is a farewell present. Everyone will be unhappy if I try to keep those who aren't motivated.
So I gave Ree and his friends the envelope I had prepared and complied with their demands. What? Absolutely not. Why are we being let go?
As soon as Ray and the others saw what was inside the envelope, they began to scream. Odd. I assumed they would be more content now. They were successful in achieving their goals. I'm an office worker named Jack White, and I'm 41 years old. From elementary school through college, I attended local schools, and I even got a job there. I assumed that until I retired, I would spend the rest of my life as a regular employee.
But after I was married to my wife, everything was different.
She worked for the company as an office clerk, and I became close to her. When the topic of marriage was finally brought up, I was taken aback to learn that her father, Thomas, was the president of Maxwell Corporation, the business where I was employed. Despite my position as president, I am also an employee. When I went to see Thomas to tell him about our marriage, he laughed and said, "Don't be too formal, just take it easy." I felt he was a capable leader, even if he may have played it down. Thomas still serves as president of the company over a decade later. I've gotten to know Thomas well since we became in-laws, but I've always been careful to keep my personal and work lives apart. After all, Thomas and I seldom ever work together, and I am the head of the HR development department. He occasionally inquires about the work environment or the well-being of the staff when we visit my in-laws, but it is always merely light conversation. Although our connection may not be exactly like the usual father-in-law and son-in-law dynamic, we have been able to maintain a healthy balance. Although our days are hectic, they are also calm because my wife and I are blessed with a son and a daughter. The company's consistent performance has allowed me to enjoy my work without any problems. However, when Keith, the HR director, called me in, that tranquility began to fall apart.
Can we talk in the meeting room for a bit?
I couldn't get rid of the uneasy feeling I had when he asked me that. It was exactly what I had anticipated as I listened. The new hires for this year were the problem. We had already made job offers and completed the hiring procedure. They wanted to add 5 more to the 15 new hires we already had this year. Hiring is expensive, and all 15 had already been allocated to their departments. My brain hurt just thinking about the cost of human resources and training. These 5 appear to be the sons of our top executives and shareholders. Despite having degrees from reputable universities, none of them were able to find employment elsewhere and were left without a place to go. It's difficult to refuse them given their connections. However, we cannot just let regular staff who are unaware of the situation handle their training.
Could you take this on in the HR development department? Since I'm the head of the HR development department, I guess it was inevitable this would fall to me. No thanks. Too much trouble. If only I could say that, but that's the sorrow of an employee.
And so the fateful day of the welcome ceremony for the new employees arrived, which I'll never forget. For the new hires, this was a significant day, filled with the tension of entering the workforce and the excitement for the future. But it seemed that the special hires didn't feel the same way, or perhaps they did, but in a completely unexpected way. The 5 special hires were nowhere to be seen, even as the ceremony started. I was utterly shocked by the unprecedented situation. 5 seats were perfectly empty in the lineup. Whether it was sheer audacity or just reckless abandon, I was stunned. Hi, everyone. I'm Ray, the son of the executive vice president. Nice to meet you. They finally showed up after 3 p.m. I had assumed they wouldn't be coming at all, and I was stunned. Led by Ray, the son of the EVP, the special hire squad made their grand entrance almost like some kind of Power Rangers team, and I was dumbfounded. With only a few hours left before the end of the workday, they had the nerve to show up late on their first day. I glanced over at Keith, who just gave me a pleading look as if to say, "Please handle this." Realizing I wouldn't get any help, I felt a sense of despair. Are they just free-spirited or what? I muttered to myself in disbelief. But I couldn't just stand there looking stunned forever. As their direct supervisor, first impressions were crucial. I gathered my resolve and walked over to where they were chatting away. Ahem! That's quite a leisurely start to your day. As far as I know, we haven't approved any flexible work hours for you yet. As professionals, it's good manners to notify us in advance if you're going to be late. Make sure to follow that from now on. I cleared my throat and laid down the rules, but they just looked at me with puzzled expressions. It was only a moment later that I realized I had underestimated this special hire squad. Is that so? Well, in that case, can you file those notifications for us? Also, you should be mindful of cough, eat. It's part of professional manners. Before telling others what to do, make sure you're setting a good example yourself. Take care of that in the future.
What?
They had turned the tables on me, and it took me a moment to understand what had just been said.
Why on earth should I be the one filing their notifications?
And cough eat at? Equating my manners with their colossal tardiness on their first day was absurd.
And so began the fierce battle between me and the special hire squad.
I don't mean to brag, but I think I have a pretty strong mental fortitude. Growing up, my 2 much older sisters toughened me up. So I can usually let things slide and adapt to most situations, but now I've become best friends with stomach medicine. That's how challenging this squad turned out to be. First off, no matter how many times I told them, they wouldn't stop coming in late. They show up around 3 p.m., putter around, and leave around 9 p.m. The times are changing, you know. Don't you think it's outdated to expect everyone to work from 9 to 6? People have their own situations. We're putting in over 40 hours a week, so it shouldn't be a problem. What's even more frustrating is that they do just enough work from home to clock over 40 hours a week, making it impossible to dismiss them. Sure, they log more than 40 hours online, but at the office, they mostly just chatted.
Are they really working at home? I seriously doubt it. But that wasn't the only problem.
We're the sons of the executives, you know. I think it'd be wise for you to listen to us. They would use their parents' positions to push the tough work onto other new hires. This came to light when a new employee in tears confided in their mentor. I gave them a stern warning, but whether they listened or not was unclear. Since then, I've been watching them closely, reminding them repeatedly to handle their own work. But there's been no improvement. They even tried dragging female employees into after-work drinks using the same tactics. Sometimes they just hang out in the break room, chatting away from 3 p.m. until it was time to leave. Maybe if I were with them all the time, it wouldn't happen. But I've got my own duties as a manager. Even when I reported this to Keith or the executives responsible for these problems, all I got was, please just manage it somehow.
You think if I got a doctor's note I could take sick leave?
Your take-home pay would drop. You get disability insurance, but it's only 60% of your base salary. I've worked hard, but I've come to realize I'm not equipped to handle this. I don't have even a shred of patience or willingness to nurture this special hire squad. In a casual chat with Keith, I seriously discussed the possibility of taking sick leave. My stomach, battered by the special hire squad, was on the verge of collapse. And lately, my lunches consisted of nothing but quick meals.
You need to eat something more nourishing. I know, but this is all my stomach can handle right now. When I muttered this, Keith fell silent.
I hate to say this, but can't we just fire all of them? They're nothing but a waste of space. And with them running wild like this, it's killing the motive of the other new hires. I'm well aware of that, though I didn't say it out loud. My frustration at Keith for not doing anything was written all over my face. But Keith graciously let it slide. If they're going to play the connection card, then you should too. An eye for an eye. You've got a powerful connection of your own, don't you? Keith's words made me look up. It was a strategy I hadn't considered before. I wasn't thrilled about it, but I did have something, a trump card that would work even against the special hire squad. Won't I be accused of mixing business with personal matters? You could just say, who's talking, and throw it back at them. They started it. We've endured long enough. With that subtle green light, I finally saw a glimmer of hope in this mess. And so, fully prepared, I faced the day of reckoning.
I've scheduled an important meeting, so make sure you're in by 9 a.m.
I made sure to tell the special hire squad in advance, reminding them multiple times. But as expected, they were late. At this point, their unyielding attitude was almost laughable. While waiting for them to show up, I slowly reviewed the documents I had prepared. The forms I submitted earlier had been signed and returned, so I carefully placed each one into an envelope. The envelopes were addressed to the members of the special hire squad, and I planned to hand them out. Well, thank you for gracing us with your presence. We agreed on 9 a.m., didn't we? Did you forget? We're short on time, so let's keep this brief. It seemed they had quite the night before, as all 5 of them showed up reeking of alcohol. Some were even stumbling, likely suffering from severe hangovers. Half smiling, I politely guided them to the conference room, where Keith was already waiting. All right, let's start by hearing why you're late. I informed you about the important meeting scheduled for 9 a.m. today, and we confirmed it yesterday, didn't we? If you were going to be late, you should have let us know. Sorry, but as you can see, we're all feeling pretty rough. We didn't want to come in today, but we made the effort. If we collapse from the strain, can we file for workers' comp? Ray responded with a string of excuses, almost mocking my stern expression, which made me sigh. Ray was always like this, claiming rights without fulfilling his obligations. I doubt it. The responsibility for a hangover lies with you, not the company. We didn't force you to drink, did we? Also, I haven't heard an apology for being late.
I already said sorry at the start, didn't I?
Keats jumped back into the conversation. There was a slight hint of sarcasm in his tone, which immediately made Ray bristle with anger. Oh, did your dad teach you that saying sorry for being late because of a hangover would make everything okay? Keith's quick-witted response made me nervous just listening to it. Insulting specific new hires and their parents like this, if this gets out, it could be a huge problem.
If my dad hears about this, you won't last at this company.
Oh, I see.
So you think you can use your dad's influence to get me fired? Impressive.
Keith's comment made Ray burst into laughter. Whether it was because he was tickled by the idea or still a bit tipsy, he couldn't stop laughing, even though it wasn't that funny. We're the sons of the executives. We're invincible. If you don't like us coming in late, we'll all quit. Ray's forced laughter twisted his words and made his sentences nonsensical. It was as if they were still stuck in their teenage years, laughing at anything and everything. The rest of the special hire squad, inspired by Ray, joined in the laughter.
I understand how you all feel. Consider this a parting gift.
At Keith's instruction, I handed out the familiar brown envelopes I had prepared. As the special hire squad laughed and looked at the contents, their faces froze, instantly turning pale in a matter of seconds, followed by a collective scream.
What? No way. Why are we being fired?
Ray was the first to speak up, clearly shocked. The rest of the special hire squad seemed to snap back to reality and started complaining one after another. It's a termination notice. Is this your first time seeing one? This is also the first time our company has issued a termination notice just 1 month after hiring someone. Congratulations on setting a new record, I stated calmly.
Ray's face turned as red as if he were about to explode. Does my dad know about this? If he did, there's no way he'd allow.
At that moment, Ray's words trailed off. It seemed he had finally noticed the signature on the termination notice addressed to him. You've noticed. The executives aren't exactly sitting around with nothing to do. It's a hassle to report every one of your misdeeds and get their approval, so I went straight to the top and got Thomas's signature. This is no mistake. I smiled as I placed a report summarizing their misconduct on the table. Multiple instances of tardiness, ignoring work orders, harassing other employees, slacking off on the job, and more. It was impressive how much trouble they managed to cause in just 1 month. It was like a year's worth of employee issues all rolled into one. No matter how connected you are, some things can't be overlooked. If you want to stay in that student mindset, maybe you should go back to school. Here in the company, you're expected to have the skills to contribute.
I'll tell my dad. You'll be the one getting fired, not us.
Even after all that, Ray still had the guts to keep barking. But Keith remained unshaken, his calm expression unwavering. In fact, Keith stood up, walked over to the partition at the back of the conference room, and slid it aside. The sight that greeted the special hire squad left him speechless, and for good reason. Standing there was none other than Thomas, the current president of Maxwell Corporation. Were you not paying attention? I'm the one telling you directly you're fired. It shouldn't even be a question who's more valuable to the company, a bunch of useless brats like you, or hard-working employees like Keith and Jack. Thomas smiled cheerfully as he stood before the special hire squad, seeming to enjoy himself. I had to bite my lip to keep from laughing at the sight of him, a man more likely to be described as having a good sense of humor than simply being nice. You tricked us. You never mentioned anything about a meeting with Thomas. Ray, now furious, stormed up to me, but I just tilted my head. I told you there was an important meeting and that you needed to be here by 9 a.m. You chose to skip it, didn't you? Blaming others isn't going to help you. I countered the special hire squad's protest with a straight face. If they had followed the basic manners and rules of being a professional, this wouldn't have happened. I wasn't going to let them shift the blame for their laziness onto anyone else.
I heard all about you guys, but I never imagined you'd have the guts to skip a meeting with me.
You've got some nerve. With such boldness, there's no way you'd fit into a place like this. Go ahead and spread your wings in the world. Thomas laughed heartily.
Ray ground his teeth in frustration.
The special hire squad had no idea that Thomas was my father-in-law. I didn't want to mix business with personal matters, but I'd reached out to him through my wife and arranged this meeting.
An eye for an eye, a connection for a connection.
Thomas himself had once been a special hire, so he couldn't strongly oppose bringing in the sons of the executives. As a hired president, he also felt a bit inferior to the seasoned executives who had worked their way up. He had thought that if they were special hires who actually did their jobs, it would be fine, but he never expected such an incompetent bunch to join the company. After receiving a detailed report from me, Thomas decided to step in and resolve the situation that had been left to HR. Not long after, the executives summoned by Thomas began filing into the conference room. They had already been informed of their son's disgraceful behavior and looked uneasy, now that they were being personally called in by Thomas. I share some of the blame for not putting a stop to this sooner, but this is beyond unacceptable. It's clear they don't meet our company's standards. Does anyone object to their dismissal? Thomas looked around at the executives, and when no one voiced any opposition, he nodded with satisfaction. The special hire squad, betrayed by the very fathers they had relied on, crumbled. Some were on their knees begging to stay, while others angrily confronted their fathers. As for Ray, he just stood there trembling, glaring at his clenched fists on the table. I'm not saying all special hires are bad, but shouldn't you at least try to be useful? Dragging down the other employees who joined through regular channels is out of the question. And let me say one last thing. Your dads might be important, but that doesn't make you important. The special hire squad, who had been coddled their whole lives without facing any real setbacks, couldn't take the blow. As if on cue, all 5 of them burst into tears, which was a bit off-putting. In the end, the special hire squad left the company that same day, and we finally enjoyed the peace that had returned. Meanwhile, the remaining executives were left feeling awkward and humiliated. Those who had reached a certain age were stripped of their positions and faced a humiliating question.
Would you like to extend your employment?
Their previous compensation was also drastically reduced. Those who barely managed to hold on to their executive positions are now feeling the pressure as the newly appointed executives ruthlessly cut down their previous inefficient practices, leaving them feeling increasingly marginalized. Some were even exiled to remote assignments or reassigned to the complaints department, and it's no secret that I quietly bid them farewell with a prayer. And as expected, or perhaps unsurprisingly as for Ray and the others, well, as expected, they're struggling to find new jobs. Given that they couldn't land a single offer during their initial job hunt and have now burned their precious family connections, it's hard to imagine them securing employment easily. Though they received termination notices, Thomas, in a final act of kindness, allowed the special hire squad to resign voluntarily. If they had been officially terminated after just a few months, their job search would have been extremely difficult. Who knows when they'll ever realize the consideration behind that decision? They might never understand it. Now that I'm free from the special hire squad, my stomach has made a remarkable recovery. I regained the weight I'd lost, and I'm back to enjoying healthy meals. What a relief. Given what happened this time, we've decided that even special hires will have to undergo a certain level of aptitude testing. You've been through a lot, Jack. So how about we grab a meal together? I'll treat you to whatever you want. What'll it be?
Maybe some barbecue. It's getting hot, and I'm in the mood for something hearty.
Keith's face visibly tightened at my suggestion, which I made after a moment of thought. You were the one who interviewed the special hire squad before they joined, right? I just happened to hear a little something through the grapevine. Fine. Well, I'm lucky to have such a capable subordinate. How about we add some seafood and chicken, too? Keith quickly agreed, going along with my continued banter. Keith must have sensed how troublesome the special hire squad would be when he interviewed them. Since he didn't warn me and just handed him over to me, I think I'm entitled to a little indulgence. Thinking about how some good barbecue might restore both my worn-out body and spirit, I geared up to tackle my afternoon work.
And when I got home with barbecue for the whole family, my wife greeted me with a comment. "That weight loss looked just right on you." I pretended not to hear it.